physical conditions too.
Dude,
It was enough
like
of a
I'm saying,
problem
just
to get
straight
Subaru
fucking
to seek out
superpower
more.
psychopaths running through this
It was
bit.
in this scene that I was hoping
That's
to find
literally
more information
ReZero in
on
a
Reinhardt's
nutshell.
power, but what we
I wanted to LA, hoping to explore. Little did I know I find a little more.
What's good, YouTube, man? Shaun back with another banger. And you know, we're back with some more ReZero reaction content. Now look, today is a little different than my usual ReZero reactions, which was episodes. I was doing season 3 episode reactions, and this reaction video is a anime cut content reaction from AniNews. We're gonna go episode by episode. I believe he starts on episode 2 though, because I think episode 1 was like an hour and a half, right? So I think he starts on episode 2. So he just talking about Subaru. So the title of the video, the video react to today is Subaru's disturbing deaths from the Archbishop of Wrath. ReZero cut content season 3 episode 2. So with that being said, bro, we're getting started to the cut content. I want to start bringing different reactions to the channel. I just want to get more interactive with y'all, so let me know down below if y'all want to see more of this by smashing the like button and commenting, and then let me know what else y'all want to see, if it's anything outside of ReZero. So with that being said, my name is Shaun. You can call me Don. Welcome to the Don crew. Without further ado, let's get straight into today's video, man. Took the wrong turn, rest and relearn, saying always comes back to
something entirely new to Subaru.
burn.
The way her power constantly resonates back and forth.
If y'all want the video link, let me know in the comment section.
Whatever emotion Sirius wants him to feel. It's this mental torture that's explored more deeply in the novels, along with the whole fight that we didn't get to see. Subaru had actually channeled his inner Indiana Jones and faced off.
Hey, I think that little clip you put in there so fire, bro. Indiana Jones edit was tough.
Just ended up with him dying anyway, but his whole approach towards it highlighted just how much he'd grown. So, as I go through that and all
bro,
the
hey, shout out to Subaru, bro.
Hopefully you enjoy.
Told you, bro, he really be standing on big business, bro.
I'll be making these every week.
He might not have yellow hair and big muscles and key blasts and stuff like that and chakra, but hey,
feel free to subscribe.
he a real one, bro, for sure. Subaru stamp, bro. He good. He good wherever he go, bro.
Decisive End of Ice and Fire, covering chapters 1 and 2 from volume 17 of the light novel. With Subaru having returned from death for the first time in a year, you'd be surprised to know the emotion he was feeling now was anger. It wasn't so much this grim despair or uncertain confusion, but instead this endless...
And what I like about this part is he gonna probably speak about it too, is how like Subaru made that declaration to himself about dying. He changed his whole view and like perception on him killing himself, and like him basically forcing the reloop, bro. Like I fuck with that.
See,
return by that.
It was over a year ago that Subaru vowed never to plunge headfirst into death again, yet only moments ago he walked right into it. His resolve to challenge every hardship and ordeal with every ounce of strength he had was effectively...
Not to mention Shorty was geeked. Also, if y'all want everything on Patreon, let me know too.
For him to fail
like the
the
episode reaction, I'm gonna be dropping them anyways.
Sanctuary, well, that overwhelmed him with both shame and anger. It was a brutal combination that would have resulted in self-loathing next, if not for Subaru realizing how little time he had.
He looked shocked. Hey, that's how I be looking for him.
To days before the moment of his death, but this time it was only minutes. It was a brand new challenge that Subaru had never faced before.
Hey, they knew, bro.
It was during all.
And I said like, this is the ReZero I fell in love with, bro. Like they really took that to the extreme with this scene when it was like bringing Shorty out and just, bro, them scene, bro, when she kept cooking him, bro. When she kept cooking him, you know what I mean. I ain't trying to use certain words just 'cause I don't want my video to get what's the name, but bro, like that she was cutting up, heads blowing off, all type of shit going on. So it's like, bro, seeing him trying to overcome that, they know like ReZero know how to like induce this feeling in you of like fear as a viewer, like as fear and like this worry, like what's gonna happen next, bro. I love it, bro. And it's the series I fell in love with, even though it can be gory and hard to watch sometimes. And I got a weak stomach, bro. That's coming from a person that got a weak stomach, kinda. Like, bro, it's hard to watch sometimes, but it's like this is the series I fell in love with. I'm sorry, I fell in love with. Let me know if y'all agree, bro.
Cause
like, bro,
went to comfort Subaru a bit.
y'all know if y'all was tapped in since the beginning of the show, bro.
This helped him to compose his thoughts and eventually led to his decision to try things.
If you watch the beginning of this show, can this not be considered gory, bro? Like, to a certain gory? Because, like, bro, y'all know how they get in this show.
Normally,
I ain't trying to talk
Subaru
over
would
bro
have
in
no
the video
problem
like
asking
that.
Beatrice for help, but because Amelia was a likely target, he couldn't risk having her be by herself. Ever since what had happened to Rem, Subaru was constantly
you know how we
fearful
feel
of a
about
similar
Rem.
fate
You know how we
befalling
feel about that, twin.
He was so traumatized by that the fear of what could happen drowned out any thoughts of what should happen.
Bro, he really a real one, bro. He deserved it.
Think that way with
I love seeing
Beatrice,
my boy
though,
win,
since
bro.
regardless of what danger awaited them, Subaru knew his fate was intertwined with hers now. His sentiments towards her wouldn't ever stop him from fighting with her.
I love that
their
pair,
relationship
bro.
had crossed that line of resolve long ago.
I love that.
They
I
were
love that. I
truly a
love
team
that.
would face everything together. Fast forward now to the confrontation in the tower, and this is where the biggest portion of content was cut. Not only did Subaru approach the whole thing completely different, but his end was a lot more disturbing than what we saw.
And that shit was, I'm happy they
It was as
animated that, bro.
Subaru
That shit
rushed
was
there that he
terrible.
contemplated what happened in the last loop.
Like, just
He
watching
didn't
that shit,
know
it was hard to
exactly
watch,
how
bro.
it was he died, but what he did know was that Sirius induced some type of mental corruption. He had essentially lost his mind, and
Like,
that
look,
made
these
remembering
scenes
things
just
a
fuck
lot
with your
more difficult.
brain, bro.
Since the memories he retained after death were influenced by his state during the moment of death, that made assuming anything from the last loop very risky.
Yeah, but I like how he added that fact thing, because I didn't know that watching the anime. I'm anime only, by the way, y'all. So, I don't know. I low-key might have to rewatch season 1 and 2.
And scatter everyone away from the tower,
before we
but
get
that
the
would
series
only
ends.
end up delaying things. Sirius clearly didn't have a specific target in mind, so if her show didn't happen here, then Subaru knew it would just happen somewhere
Yeah, her
else.
ass sick, bro.
It was a hollow victory that didn't change anything. Not the type of win that Subaru would be satisfied with. So, Subaru
Bro,
would
stay
be
with
a
the
bit
same
more
New Balance
proactive
fit
and
on, though.
scope out the tower
Shit
until
crazy.
finding that the door was open. Inside was surprisingly empty, since the magical nature of the clock meant that no mechanical pieces were necessary. It made it so the only things present were the support pillars and a massive staircase. It was a hollow tower in which only his footsteps echoed. Eventually, Subaru had climbed to the point where he could hear Luzbel, but rather than him being by himself, Subaru could also hear the ramblings of the person who captured him. Right there with Luzbel was Sirius telling him just how proud she was of him. The tone sounded very reassuring, but the actual words were more like a blessing and a curse. It made it clear that the person speaking wasn't sane at all. It was from here that Subaru would have to approach
Fucking
quietly,
psychos,
put
like,
into action
bro,
the
you know one thing about ReZero, it cook you is kind of like, you kind of somewhat, I feel like if you really an anime watcher and you get deep with this shit like me, you put yourself in that scenario sometimes just unconsciously, and it's like, bro, this is so fucked, because like, you know you're just dealing with straight psychopaths running through the city killing shit. These are just psychopathic murderers.
Mentor and day steward serving Anaros. He's the one who's been training Subaru, and in addition to teaching him how to walk quietly, he's also the one who taught him how to use his whip. A weapon Subaru was now proficient with, enough to be deemed somewhat decent. It's not like he
Shout
was
out
an
to
expert,
AniNews,
but
bro.
he did possess a level of mastery that was considered acceptable. The whip itself was a bullwhip just like Indiana Jones's, except Subaru's was a bit longer, making it slightly more difficult to use.
W reference.
It was a custom gift from Clind, serving as a sort of graduation present, one that bore the name of the demon beast it was crafted from. As for why Subaru chose the whip, well, as a weapon well suited for tricks and feints, it fit nicely with Subaru's own style of fighting. He knew he couldn't compete against swordsmen in a sword fight, but perhaps something like a whip could make things a bit more even. So, if there was any weapon that could match his cunning, the whip was certainly one of the best candidates. It also gave him the ability to quickly land hits against opponents that were stronger than him. So, as Subaru slowly crept up behind Sirius, he first made sure he was within range to land an attack, then quickly wound his whip in a way that emphasized speed over force. He wasn't so
I like how he
strong
structured
that he
his
could knock
videos
someone
too,
out
chat. I ain't gonna lie,
instantly
fuck with it.
But if he could at least restrain his target before they noticed, then that on its own was a significant advantage for him. He was hoping to grab hold of Sirius, then toss her over the banister. It was before the whip could even wrap itself around Sirius's neck, though, that Sirius would already be asking Subaru why he was so angry. She hadn't even turned around, yet somehow she knew that Subaru was in the middle of attacking her. That's when she would deflect the whip with her own chains, entangling the two together, making both of them useless. Fortunately, this worked in Subaru's favor, since all he had to do now was tug to force her off balance. It was just enough to make her stumble and give Subaru the opportunity to tackle her, a powerful charge that would send her over the banister anyway. That's when Subaru would finally start to save Luzbel, leading to the events that we saw in the anime. If you're wondering how Sirius was able to find her way back up, well, somehow she'd managed to fling her chain.
She's a fucking freak. I was wondering how, she came back out the cut on his ass too.
She'd essentially hit Subaru with the Uno reverse card and left him for death by what was essentially a barbed hanging. This wasn't what made this death so grisly though, since in the midst of Sirius revealing her power, Subaru was descending into a form of madness completely different from the first one. With his and Luzbel's sphere bouncing back and forth stacking on top of each other, the cascading effect it had on Subaru's mind made him lose his very sense of self. For him, everything in this moment was now fear. From Sirius's voice to the fear itself, absolutely everything, no matter how minute, terrified Subaru down to his very core. Like, he wanted to close his eyes.
See, that's that light novel shit. See, anime really be cutting it back, bro. Like, feeding us baby food down there. Like, here, take your food, Cause they be going hard in the light novel. The source content.
Then it was this thought process that kept spiraling out of control. It went on and on until fear in its purest form became the only thing that Subaru could comprehend anymore. To him, fear was the only truth now. So, in the end, Subaru didn't know whether he died from hanging or terror-induced cardiac arrest, but what he did know was that he never wanted to feel that way again.
I know that's right.
The way he lost everything that made him who he was, made him realize that maybe he should ask for help.
Nah, facts, fuck that shit.
Experience wasn't all for naught, since Subaru now understood a bit of Sirius's resonance ability. He figured it was an authority that let her manipulate people's emotions. He wasn't quite sure how it worked, but the fact it affected him went to show that he wasn't immune to authorities like how he hoped he was. Ever since he was able to resist the authority of Sloth, Subaru hoped his connection to the witches would allow him to resist all the other archbishop's authorities.
That shit didn't happen like that, huh?
Unfortunately proved this otherwise, but that in itself was valuable information too. Now, regardless of how it was activated, the current circumstances made for quite the interesting predicament. What I mean is that, while yes, Subaru could defeat Sirius by blowing up the entire tower, to do so would mean sacrificing Luzbel. To some, this could be seen as a
little bro up there folded like a fucking pretzel for what, bro? She's just a sick bitch. I'm sorry, Chad. I don't even use that word, but like that. But I had to. She's fucked.
He made up his mind to not sacrifice himself, Subaru believed he had no right to force others to either. So, if saving one life meant saving many, to Subaru, losing that one life was like giving up on the world. He pretty much possessed the exact opposite view of Kuritsugu. That being the case, overall this was
W Fate Zero fucking reference, right? What? No, shout out to AniNews, cause I need to, shout out to him. W Fate Zero reference.
It wasn't quite enough to induce that level of despair yet, though, since if he couldn't pull this off, then Subaru knew he would question his value as Amelia's knight. It was a train of thought that led directly to Reinhardt. Dying twice made him forget that he was even an option, but after racking his mind hard, the obvious answer became clear, bringing us now to Subaru's third encounter in the square. It was Subaru's concern here that had actually gone to confuse me a bit, since I didn't think, or at least I wasn't aware, that there was in fact a penalty just for sharing information gained via return by death. Personally, I thought it was just about return by death itself, but Subaru was very anxious about revealing information he'd learned from return by death. It's something I swear we've seen him do numerous times before. In any case, it turns out that despite Subaru not having died in over a year, there were numerous times throughout where, when discussing return by death, the penalty for doing so would thoroughly torment him. There was this one instance where he tried to reveal it to Beatrice, only to experience hell-like pain for quite a few moments after. It didn't make him any less willing to share everything with Beatrice though, so as long as there wasn't any true consequential suffering, Subaru was still committed to sharing everything with her. This did actually help to teach Subaru something, and that was that the severity of the penalty differed, depending on the level of detail being shared about return by death, along with who exactly it was he was telling it to.
I love the explanation of his power.
These were the
shit's
two factors
crazy.
in which the penalty was
Bro,
directly
they are playing with my
proportional
boy
to.
like he's a fucking
So,
toy.
sharing information with someone like Ratchins wouldn't be as severe as sharing it with someone like Amelia. It was an interesting connection Subaru constantly had to worry about. One that signified the degree of what Subaru could share depended solely on the whims of the witch. Luckily,
Right.
Subaru could share quite a bit with Ratchin, so in addition to what he said in the anime, Subaru also explained who was going to attack and when it was going to happen. He had essentially given full context on everything. Sirius's entrance after was pretty much the same, except for an additional line indicating a potential mind-reading ability. I don't know if that's actually what it was, but somehow she knew that someone was thinking about her with more intensity than expected. A clear indicator that perhaps it's not just emotions that she can share. It was when Reinhardt showed up shortly after.
I really
that
love the
he
explanation of this because,
introduced
like,
how it was
you know, when
Sirius's
creators
authority.
create these shows and they can have like these power systems and stuff like that, and you know, of course, you know, understandable from the studios not being able to put all of everything he's saying into a 20-minute episode, right? Because they're working with time blocks and budgets and things like that. It's like, but like, I love when just hearing source material and just like getting deeper into the shows and like hearing things like that. It's like all the small details kind of just show you how like he really gambled his life in this shit. Like, bro,
It actually worked. Unlike
shit
how
get
Subaru
serious.
thought it was by looking her way or hearing her
It's like
voice,
so
it
strategic.
was
I love
instead
that.
for the mere fact of knowing that she existed. Anyone who acknowledged her in any way whatsoever was fair game to become affected by her. It was a crazy power that even Reinhardt was wary of. I'm sure this was him just being humble, but the thought of even him not being immune really worried Subaru. Sirius would then talk to Reinhardt a little bit more, basically saying how he was the ideal manifestation of everything she preached about. The way the masses came together to love him specifically really resonated with the love that Sirius liked to talk about all day. This conversation
freak,
didn't
yeah.
really last much longer, though, as Reinhardt would quickly engage in what can only be described as aerial combat. I know to us that doesn't seem very ridiculous, but to Subaru, Reinhardt's power was just becoming absurd now. The way
Bro
he
just in
handled
the air
Sirius's
going
chains
crazy.
was pretty crazy too, since with only his
The
foot,
anime.
he was able to gain complete control over them. It was a feat that made
love
Subaru
the
think
game, I love the
Reinhardt
hustle
was a
chat.
literal superhero now. The rest of the fight was pretty much the same, aside from Lucebell bearing the first signs that injury was shared with Sirius too. Although Subaru didn't understand at the time, when saving Lucebell there were bruises on his arm that weren't there before. Injuries that are later hinted as ones Sirius received during her fight with Reinhardt. Sirius also didn't just accept her fate either, and instead actually tried to flee by propelling herself away with her chains. Reinhardt, of course, caught her instantly, then chopped her in half along with everyone else. It was the first time that Subaru had ever died so cleanly. A demise so quick that rather than pain, the only thing Subaru could feel after was surprise. This did, however, provide the information he needed to understand how he died in the first loop, so now he knew Sirius's power wasn't just a resonance of emotions, but also a transference of physical conditions too.
Dude,
It was enough
Jesus.
of a
Like I'm
problem
saying,
to
just
get
straight
Subaru
fucking
to seek out
superpower
more.
psychopaths running through this
It was
bit.
in this scene that I was hoping
That's
to find
literally
more information
ReZero
on
in a
Reinhardt's
nutshell.
power, but what we saw was pretty much all we got.
He's geeked
His
up on
dominion
powers.
over
He's geeked
mana
up on
made
powers. They're
everyone
geeked
else's
up.
non-existent.
How we gonna win?
Sure, this was definitely OP, but at the same time it was also very much inconvenient. It made it so none of Subaru's allies could stand on the same field together. Individually, they were all very much formidable, but together, well, there was no plan Subaru could come up with which would let them all reach their true potential. Now, after there was this whole conversation about how Sirius's authority was similar to the high-level spell Nect, leading to the basis behind why Shamok should work against it. Since that whole theory was immediately disproved, though, I can see why the anime decided to cut it. Sirius's authority was more a curse that manipulated the soul itself, not some heretical abuse of a spell that let you share senses.
That's
why
crazy.
Shamok wouldn't work against it.
Shit,
This
that's what I'm
brings us
saying,
then to
bro.
Amelia, whose astute observation highlighted Subaru's emotions right now. The reason she could tell that Subaru was about to cry was because deep down Subaru was terrified. He'd just died 3 times in an hour, which was far more death than he was used to.
Especially
That's
recently.
not to say that he would ever get used to dying, but to do so often was far more than what he'd handled before. His future was constantly being robbed from him.
And the
in a way that was
shorties, I
unacceptable.
admit, fucking
His soul
the most
defiled
formidable
and his vow
enemy.
completely shattered.
Situation
This
is
was
just
what it meant
tough.
every time he died, so to have his existence trampled like that didn't really sit well with him. Fast forward to the actual fight now, and Sirius didn't come out unscathed by Amelia's attack. Half her bandages were soaked in blood, her left arm dangled as if broken, and her demeanor clearly unsteady and battered. What shocked Subaru more than that, though, was the way that Sirius just completely ignored him. She didn't even register that he was there, but instead focused solely on Amelia and Beatrice. The fight itself showcased Amelia's brand new style of combat, which Subaru himself dubbed as Ice Brand Arts. It was a way of fighting that took full advantage of her massive mana capacity, one that constantly reformed her weapons, allowing her to launch high-speed combo attacks. She would go in fully intending to break her weapons of ice, then immediately reshape them into something new. To Subaru, it was a beautiful display that made him feel like he was watching a fairy dance.
You know he
to
loved
others,
her,
this
bro,
was
for real,
more
for
a
real.
dance of ice and fire. It
That
was
shit
in the
come right
meantime
from the
that
heart.
Subaru was dealing with Sirius's soul-washed minions, tossing who he could into the waterway, then literally parkouring his way
My
up to
fault.
Loosebound. It was yet another one of the skills that Clint had taught him, and Subaru was making sure to make good use of it here. Now, there is a bit more to Amelia's fight, but that's actually something that I'm gonna save for next week since I'm not sure if they'll include it in the next episode or not. So, for now, that's everything about Season 3, Episode 2, and pretty much all that I gotta say for it. If you liked the video, then leave a like, and if you want to see more, then consider subscribing. I'll be doing these every week for every episode. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do. So, until next time.
At least for the first
Ciao.
video, we gotta watch it at the very
With
end.
so much happening.
But look, if y'all want Season 3, Episode 3, smash the like button, comment down below, just let me know. Let me know what y'all want to see. I'm trying to get back on the reactions, more consistent, more on point. Back on the quality, I'll up the quality, you know what I'm saying? Everything should be smoother now, just more buttery, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go for a better effect. If there's anything else I could do to make the videos better, let me know. I love y'all, I appreciate y'all. ReZero on the hand though, before we close out the video. Hey, I'm excited to get into this cut content because it's kind of like, you know me, honestly, I feel like I should have been getting more into source materials or shows I like, but it's just kind of like, I don't know why I haven't. But this type of stuff right here is definitely good to do because it's kind of like, some things you just won't know if you don't hear it, if you don't watch videos like this or you don't read the source material, you just won't know, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely good to like to get it put in perspective for me so I can see things a little deeper and see like the intention the creator had, and it's so dope to see. I already love ReZero, you feel what I'm saying? That's what I was saying, but like this just bringing a deeper love to it, especially knowing my boy Subaru going through. It's like that shit. ReZero, hey, if y'all want more, let me know in the comment section below. I love y'all, I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one, man. Peace. Damn, gang, I'm not even.
I live in a constant state of fear and misery. Do you miss me anymore? And I don't even notice when it happens.
Picture time, come on, grab your friends, we'll go to